One receiver, number two receiver, tight end, running back, left tackle, O-line, top 12. I think Kevin O'Connell, the tall Sean McVay, is the best coach in the league that nobody talks about. I like them. They save money getting off Kirk Cousins, coming off the surgery. They bolstered their pass rush with those savings. They did like the Houston Texans did last year. They quietly made their defense better with a lot of B to B plus moves. Vikings at 10.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Obviously, we're talking about the Minnesota Vikings, folks. I think this team is getting so much disrespect that it's not even funny. And I'm a freaking Green Bay Packers fan. We saw Kirk Cousins last season before his injury throw for about 292 yards per game. They have an above average offensive line. They have probably the best wide receiver trio in the National Football League in Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, and Jordan Addison, coming off a phenomenal rookie season, by the way. 70 catches, over 900 yards, and 10 total touchdowns. Kevin O'Connell, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated, disrespected, underappreciated head coaches in the National Football League. I was obviously outside of Vikings fans, but I was reading an article from ESPN, and they were doing power rankings after free agency thus far, and they had the Minnesota Vikings all the way down at 23. Well, I get it because Sam Darnold is technically your quarterback one, but the reports over the weekend were that the NFL, here was like an NFL draft 2024 rumor, that the Vikings will quote unquote be aggressive in trading up for Michigan's quarterback, JJ McCarthy. We've heard Harbaugh talk so highly of him. Apparently, JJ had a phenomenal pro day earlier this past, or a couple of days ago. Folks, the Vikings are going to be trading up, and they're going to be trading up most likely to pick number 4 to select JJ, or I even saw a mock draft earlier today where they trade up for pick number 3 and Drake May. They're a QB away. I think people are very underestimating Kevin O'Connell's offensive mind. Folks, they went 13-4 2 years ago. 13-4. I get it. They started a little bit shaky last season, but Kirk Cousins was playing unbelievable football. 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Like we said, throwing for about 292 yards per game. Take it from a damn Packers fan. We just heard Uncle Colin say that the Vikings are top 10 in his power rankings post free agency. I'm telling you, the Vikings aren't going anywhere. They're going to be just as good, if not better, especially in the long-term foreseeable future. But obviously, we're talking Vikings in today's video. But guys, before we do it, if you enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Vikings fans, I love you guys so much. Crazy. You guys are blessing this channel. If we could try and get this video to 500 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. One underestimating thing is the addition, in my opinion, of my running back, Aaron Jones. 1 year, $7 million contract. Folks, I get it. He's put in 7 full seasons. He's 29 years old, but he is that good. He is a difference maker. He had 6 straight 100-yard games to end the Green Bay Packers season last year, including the playoffs. We go back to like that, divisional game against the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners are known, they are known. Their defense is known for holding players under 100 rushing yards. And Aaron Jones broke that feat about an hour ago, right? Aaron Jones, dynamic playmaker. And what I think a lot of other people don't understand is Ty Chandler. Ty Chandler really came through at the end of the season. I think it was a good idea, obviously, to get rid of Alexander Mattison. That just ended up not working. I was very surprised it didn't work, but it didn't work. It is what it is. You also have to factor in real quick before I get into I'm going to get into a quick side tangent here. Just speaking on Kevin O'Connell, the Minnesota Vikings last season, when Kirk Cousins officially went down with an injury, every single team wrote them off. So the Minnesota Vikings last year started off 0-3. They lost to Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, and the Chargers to kick off the season. Through 5 weeks, they were 1-4. And then they rattle off 5 straight wins against Chicago, San Francisco, Green Bay, Atlanta, the New Orleans Saints. And when Josh Dobbs came into town, when Kirk Cousins got injured, he looked like a top 15 quarterback in the National Football League. And obviously that, ended up not being sustainable for the rest of the season. But the fact that the Vikings started last year 1-4 and they lost their star quarterback Kirk Cousins to an Achilles injury, and they finished the season 7-10, they were in the playoff race until the final month of the season where they ended up losing 4 straight. Kevin O'Connell, once again, one of the most underrated offensive minds in the entire National Football League. And I don't think it's going to be Drake May. I think New England's going to stay pat at pick number 3 and take a quarterback. But JJ McCarthy, I'm glad people are finally getting off the train of, people are just desperate for a quarterback. JJ McCarthy, when it's all said and done, at the end of his NFL career, might be one of the best QBs. He might be the best QB in the draft class. And what a lot of people underestimate or just don't even realize is where you land matters. And who your coach is matters. And who your offensive weapons and what your offensive line looks like. All of that stuff matters. The Minnesota Vikings, in my opinion, if Kirk Cousins was healthy last season, like we saw 2 years ago when they went 13-4, even before Jordan Addison, and even only with half a season of TJ Hawkinson, folks, if JJ McCarthy's NFL ready, like everybody's saying he is, and the Minnesota Vikings give up both of their 2 first-round draft picks to Arizona, which 100% would seal the deal. You don't have to give up, a second-round pick. You don't have to give up a future second, a future third, or anything like that. If you call the Arizona Cardinals and you say, here are 2 first-round picks for this year's class, they will take that trade. Now, one thing I've been saying on this channel for the last couple of weeks now is watch out for teams like Seattle. Watch out for teams like Denver. If I am the GM of the Minnesota Vikings and he knows exactly what the hell he's doing, you got to make this call soon. You have to make this call soon. I don't want to see it on draft day just because Denver and Seattle, Denver more likely because I don't know who quarterback 1 even is in Denver right now. Is it Jared Stidham? Like, Denver's going to be making a move. And I think Bo Nix fits perfectly in Denver, but they have their eyes on JJ as well. So you got to make this call. You got to make this trade relatively soon, especially after the news that JJ McCarthy had a hell of a Pro Bowl or a Pro Day. Now, the defense is so weird because, people are just kind of thinking the Danielle Hunter trade means that the Minnesota Vikings are rebuilding. Jonathan Greenard, we've been talking about this in our last 3 Vikings videos, 22.4 pass rush win rate. Danielle Hunter's was 13.5. He's 265 pounds. He had a career-high 12.5 sacks last season, and you got him on only a 4-year, $72 million contract. You also picked up Andrew Van Ginkel, who has familiarity from when Brian Flores was the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. He ranked 20th in the NFL in pass rush win rate at 17.9% last season. Brian Flores, once again, just like the whole Minnesota Vikings coaching staff, it feels like, severely underappreciated in the grand scheme of the National Football League. And I think it was just because of the bad taste from how his Miami tenure ended. Blake Cashman, 3-year contract. He was a full-time starter for the first time last season. You still have Ivan Pace Jr., who had a sneaky great rookie season. I don't understand why the Minnesota Vikings defense did not improve, and I don't understand why they didn't improve for a long term. So you get JJ McCarthy, and he's as good as people think he is. He's as good as they say. He's as good as he's mobile. He's cheaper. He's younger than Kirk Cousins. It was just time to move on, and the price got too high. 4 years, what was it, $180 million to keep Mr. Kirk Cousins. I think people are just looking at the losses of Danielle Hunter and Kirk Cousins and just kind of thinking the Vikings are throwing in the towel. That's the last thing they're doing. They are going to be set for a very long time once they trade up and take their quarterback. So you got a great system, a great coaching staff, and you got a great personnel group around him as far as your talent on the field goes. The Minnesota Vikings are not going anywhere, folks. They're going to be better. All right. So that's it for me. That's it for today's rant. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. Vikings fans, love you guys so much. You're seriously blessing this channel up. But let me know your thoughts on JJ McCarthy. Let me know your thoughts on the current state of the Minnesota Vikings. Peace.